Here's a number that stopped me cold when I first came across it. More than half of women over 65 in this country are living alone, not widowed early, not lifelong singles who chose and planned for it. Women who had partners, built lives alongside someone, made retirement plans together, and then somewhere along the way, through divorce or loss or circumstances nobody saw coming, found themselves standing at the door of retirement entirely on their own. More than half. And yet almost every conversation about retirement assumes there are two of you sitting at the kitchen table making these decisions together. Almost every calculator, every financial plan, every article about how to make your money last, written as though there is someone next to you helping carry the weight of it. I want to talk to the women for whom that is not the reality, because I have sat across from enough of them, women I taught alongside, women from my neighborhood, women who emailed this channel after watching a video, to know that retiring solo is one of the most emotionally and financially complex things a woman can navigate, and nobody is talking about it honestly enough. So today I am going to try. Let me start with the financial picture, because I think it is important to name it clearly and without softening it more than it deserves. When you retire solo, the fixed costs of life do not cut themselves in half just because there is only one of you now. The rent or the mortgage is the same. The utilities are the same. The insurance, the car, the groceries, yes, maybe a little less on groceries, but fundamentally, the cost of keeping a life running does not scale down neatly to match the fact that you are the only one running it. What that means practically is that every single expense lands entirely on your income. Your Social Security, your pension if you have one, your savings, whatever you built, it has to stretch in a way that it simply would not have to if there were two of you sharing the load. And that reality hits differently in the moments when things go wrong. I know a woman named Patricia, a retired teacher, sharp and capable, and someone who had always managed her own finances confidently. She told me about the week the stock market took a significant hit earlier this year. She said she sat at her kitchen table looking at her portfolio and felt something she had not felt in years. Pure fear. Not because she was poorly prepared, she had done everything right, but because in that moment she understood with complete clarity that there was nobody else, no second income to fall back on, no partner to say, we will figure this out together. Just her and the number on the screen, and the weight of knowing every decision that followed was entirely hers to make. She said, "Carol, it is not that I cannot handle it. It is that handling it completely alone is a different thing than I ever fully understood until I was actually in it." I think about Patricia often because what she described is not a failure of planning. It is the honest reality of retiring solo that nobody adequately prepares you for. If you are in that place right now, I want you to know that what you are feeling is not weakness. It is the appropriate response to carrying something genuinely heavy. There is another layer to this that I think deserves its own conversation. When you retire solo, especially after a divorce or the loss of a partner, you are not just navigating one major life transition. You are navigating two of them at the same time. The loss of your professional identity and the loss of the life you had pictured retirement would look like. Both of those arrive together, and together they are heavier than either one alone. I have spoken with women who retired after decades in careers they were deeply proud of, teachers, nurses, administrators, business owners, and who also went through the end of a marriage around the same time. And what they describe is a kind of double disorientation that is difficult to put into words. You wake up one morning and you are not who you were at work anymore, and you are not who you were in your marriage anymore. And the retirement you had imagined, the one with the morning coffee on the back porch and the travel plans and the shared dinners, that version is gone too. And you have to figure out who you are and what your life looks like entirely from scratch, all at once. One woman told me she stood in her kitchen about 3 weeks after retiring and realized she did not know what to do with a Tuesday, not because she was incapable, but because for 30 years her Tuesdays had belonged to someone or something else, her school, her family, her marriage, and suddenly a Tuesday was just open, entirely hers, and she did not know yet what that meant. That disorientation is normal. I want to say that as clearly as I possibly can. It does not mean you made wrong decisions. It does not mean you are not strong enough for this. It means you are in the middle of something genuinely difficult. And the middle of something difficult is supposed to feel hard. There is also the loneliness. And I want to be honest about this because I think it gets minimized in a way that does not serve anyone. Solo retirement can be profoundly lonely, especially in the beginning. Not lonely in a dramatic way that announces itself loudly, lonely in the quiet ways. The Tuesday evening when there is no one to tell about your day, the trip you want to take, and the moment you realize you are calculating whether you feel safe traveling alone. The dinner you make for one and eat at a table that used to seat more people. I am not saying this to be discouraging. I am saying it because I think women who are in the early stages of solo retirement sometimes feel like something is wrong with them for feeling this way. Like they should be grateful for the freedom and the autonomy and the blank canvas of it. And they are genuinely, and also they are lonely. And both of those things can be true at the same time without one canceling out the other. Loneliness in retirement is real. Loneliness in solo retirement is even more real. And naming it honestly is the first step toward actually doing something about it. So let me talk about what you actually do with all of this, because there is an upside to retiring solo that is also real and also deserves to be named. For many women, perhaps for the first time in their adult lives, solo retirement means complete autonomy over every single decision: where you live, how you spend your time, what your days look like, what your home looks like, who you spend your energy on and who you do not. No negotiating, no compromising on things that matter to you. No quietly setting aside what you want in order to accommodate someone else's preferences. That is not a small thing. For women who spent decades being mothers, wives, caregivers, professionals, women who became experts at managing everyone else's needs, the freedom of solo retirement can be genuinely extraordinary once the initial shock of it settles. One of the most important things you can do in solo retirement is build your own financial clarity, completely and thoroughly yours. Know exactly what you have. Know where every account is and what it contains and what it costs you to access it. Know your monthly income, your monthly expenses, your cushion, your plan. Do not let it live in your head as a general feeling of either security or anxiety. Put it on paper, make it concrete. Make it something you can look at and actually understand. Because when the stock market drops, or the car needs a repair, or an unexpected expense arrives, and all of those things will happen, what protects you is not having a partner to share the worry with. What protects you is knowing your numbers clearly enough to make a calm decision rather than a fearful one. Financial clarity is not just practical in solo retirement, it is emotional armor. The second thing, and this one I feel strongly about, is your support system. Solo does not have to mean alone in the way we sometimes fear it does. The women I have seen navigate solo retirement most successfully are not the ones who figured out how to need nobody. They are the ones who built a deliberate and intentional community around themselves. Friends who check in, neighbors they trust, a financial advisor, or at minimum a financial plan they understand completely, family they lean on without apology. There is a version of strength that looks like needing no one. And then there is the deeper version, the one that knows exactly who to call and is not afraid to make that call. Build your network before you need it urgently. That is the practical advice, because the time to figure out who your people are is not at 2 a.m. when something goes wrong. It is now, while you have the time and the energy to invest in those relationships deliberately. Join something, a class, a group, a volunteer organization, a community of any kind that puts you in regular contact with people who share something with you. Loneliness shrinks in proportion to how much you design against it. And the third thing I want to say, the one I want to leave you with, is about identity. Retirement asks every single one of us who we are when we stop being defined by what we do. Solo retirement asks that same question and adds another one on top of it. Who are you when you are not defined by your relationship either? That is a profound question, and it deserves a genuine answer rather than a rushed one. Give yourself time to find it. Do not panic in the early months when the answer is not yet clear. Do not measure your progress against anyone else's timeline or anyone else's version of what thriving looks like. You are building something new. something that is entirely yours in a way that perhaps nothing in your life has ever been entirely yours before. That is frightening. And it is also, when you are ready to see it that way, one of the most remarkable opportunities a life can offer. I have watched women come through the disorientation of solo retirement and arrive somewhere that surprised them completely, not at the life they had originally planned for, but at a life that was honest and deliberate and deeply theirs in a way the planned version never quite would have been. It takes time. It takes patience with yourself. It takes asking for help when you need it and building community before you need it urgently, and knowing your numbers clearly enough that fear does not make your decisions for you. But you are more capable than you currently believe you are. I am certain of that. And you are not as alone in this as it sometimes feels. More than half of women over 65 in this country are navigating some version of what you are navigating right now. That is not a statistic to despair over. That is a community, a very large, very real community of women who understand exactly what this feels like. Find them, let them find you, and know that what you are building, even if it looks nothing like what you planned, can still be something genuinely good.